A few weeks ago, I went to Dreamforce. At Dreamforce, I got a chance to sit down with one of my good friends, Dale Dupree. We spoke about sales, about AI, and some of the good and challenges we're seeing with that. You're going to love this one. Check it out. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist Podcast. I'm your host, Donald C. Kelly, the Sales Evangelist, and I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. And on this episode today, I have an amazing guest. His name is Dale Dupree. He's leading the Sales Rebellion, and you can find out more about what Dale is doing, the organization that he has, and how he's helping individuals, teams, to be able to think outside the box and to become creative. On this episode, we talk about AI and how we can embrace AI, but also how we can make sure we work with AI in an effective way and that we just don't relinquish everything over to AI. He breaks down some of his experiences, some of the challenges that he's seeing right now, and how this can help us as sales professionals, what we can do to work around it, especially with our creativity. If this is your first time listening to our podcast, please go ahead and subscribe. I would love to have you get notified every single time we have an amazing episode like this. Now, Dale would just have finished his event. He had one that's going on literally right now as we're recording this one, and he's going to talk about that, and I think it's a great event you should look at for next year in 2025. Let's dive in.
All right, everyone. So I'm chilling here with the one and only Dale Dupree. We're rebelling here at Salesforce and Dreamforce, and we're recording some content. Dale and I had a conversation a little bit earlier on about how about AI. AI is definitely something that is permeating in the ethos everywhere. It's impacting teams, it's impacting organizations. So a couple things that you're doing right now, we'll talk about that, how you've always been someone that embraced creativity and rebelled against the norm, so to speak. Tell me the story you were talking about a little bit early on today about your experience with AI with an individual, it wasn't a client, right?
Yeah, so to caveat the story, though, I think also what's important for us to talk about is that I don't think either of us believe that there's something wrong with AI.
Not at all.
Sales.
Not at all.
I think the big problem I have with it is this concept of people using it on this level that they think it will save them somehow or create an outcome for them that is more desirable that they could create themselves without AI. So there's an organization that I met about a week ago, and they were expressing to me, a year ago in January, so more than a year from now in the past.
Yeah,
it's about 120 SDRs and BDRs on the team, right? And today they have zero, and those people's jobs, either they transition, and it's a small minority of them that got transitioned into full cycle sales reps, or they've been moved into the cloud, and they're basically the digital form of an SDR, and they're an assistant to an AE that is completely AI. So these folks they're making the call, they're sending the emails, they're like a living being, so to speak, inside of the organization, but all they're doing is just basically trying to get people to give the opportunity to the AE to spend some time with them. And I like, so these are the things that we could debate for hours and days and months and years and forever, because there's so many questions that I want to answer. I'm like, well, first off, like, what's the quality of the people coming in? Because now you have this thing kind of just like opening the door to anyone to come in based on the intellectual side of AI. Like, oh, this person said yes to these questions I asked, and so they're probably a good candidate, right? But beyond that, I also think, though, that the issue is that when the mainstream moves in a direction, it's typically to create, it's really not to create more efficiency as much as it's to create ease of use or access. That's what it really is. And ease of use and access create a false sense of efficiency, but really it's like, hey, we used to go to the store to buy groceries and make dinner, and now we use Uber Eats to do that. So and really we're not being more efficient. We think we are, right? But it costs us money to do that. We think like, oh, I don't have to get in my car and drive anymore. I don't have to go through the grocery store and shop anymore. I just have this thing deliver this thing to me. It costs about the same, if not more, and it keeps us in a place of complacency, if you will, to pushing the boundaries and doing something, more unique or human.
So do you feel that AI or will it impede upon a sales rep or society's ability to be creative?
I think 100% there is no emotion in AI, and there never will be. I think even when scientists and engineers come out with this concept of AI, where they're like, oh, AI can feel now.
Yeah.
Again, it can make you feel even, right?
Yeah.
I think those are going to be false, very surface level pretense for emotions that we feel in the moment because of the identity of triggering the brain.
Yeah.
And how easy it is for us to kind of understand words that do that, tone that does that, visuals that do that. And that's manipulation.
Yeah.
So that really is, there's nothing genuine about it, right? So I ultimately think because of that, we might perceive it as creative in some instances, but for the most part, what's really going to be happening is that those of us that think beyond the motion of what's happening in front of us, that think like, well, what's the purpose of this?
Yeah.
Are going to see right through it and go, oh, you just want me to buy something.
Yeah. So with that though, like, I think most of the leaders that probably will listen to something like this and watch this, the question on their mind, they're going back to that story, 150 AEs or BDRs. Now they're gone. What's the outcome of that?
Man, well, for the organization, like, you know what was interesting? That the thing that she said that I thought was nuts. This is just my personal opinion, right? But she said, we get the same result. So I thought to myself, like,
are the salespeople crappy, or is it AI that good?
right? Like, so in my head, I said, okay, so, well, what are the results?
Yeah.
Really was the question. And the way she gave the answer, it felt like the results were like subpar.
Yeah.
Or a standard that they have created an expectation around, a standard that like makes them happy. Doesn't necessarily, it's not that it's making anybody else happy. The shareholder maybe, right, of the organization.
But I mean, they're definitely saving a lot of money. Say if you're depending on where you are in the country, let's say $50 a head, $50,000 a head a year for BDR.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And you're also talking about like from a compensation standpoint, you're talking about cutting somewhere in the ballpark of about $30 an hour out of the compensation. So like if you really think, if you want to drastically understand like the cost differences, it's less than a third, like it, it's nothing. It's a fraction of what it costs to have a person. But again, I think, well, what do we want to accomplish as organizations and businesses? Are we just kind of like here to sit around and like collect people's money and use it for 20 years and then go, oh, this was good. I have enough money. I can go away now. And so goodbye. Like, to me, it feels like we're headed in the wrong direction from the standpoint of like, why do we conduct business in the first place? And ultimately, like, who wants to live like that, bro?
Yeah.
I want a trajectory where I have a glass ceiling that in 9 years I can get myself to a position for myself from an income standpoint, especially in sales, where it's like I can do anything I want now.
Yeah.
And that money doesn't really motivate me anymore, so to say, because I have so much ultimate freedom through what I've created with my network, with my ability to be able to help myself be better at something and believe more in myself. And then ultimately, the finances that come with that are a byproduct, right?
Yeah.
They're a byproduct. And then me as an individual can now see, oh, this is how you make money, right? You get the trust and buy-in through credibility and doing things that no one else will do in a sales cycle with a random person that you're a stranger to and that they're talking to 20 other versions of you in the same, instance, right? So for me, there's a lot of development to this. There's a lot of things that like will not exist anymore.
Yeah.
For a person, like the person now, like an AE in the instance of this team will sit there and be like, oh, I have a meeting that my fake thing set up for me. And they'll go to the meeting and be like, here's my A to Z thing that I do. And then they get to the end and they go, well, I usually win about 1 out of 3 of these. So fingers crossed. And I had 3 this week. So hopefully I'm going to win 1, and it's like, man, what's happening to sales? It's unrecognizable.
I think a couple of things that trigger from what you shared is this idea then of we have to have like, you have to have something more as an organization than just the money. There has to be a sense of vision or sense of impact that you're making. And I think that bigger purpose makes it fun, one. And I think that's going to be helpful for sales. And then 2, the other part is imagine this organization, they saved a lot of money and they're still at par with their performance, right? Imagine if they were to have a level of creativity, because what I feel is that more of the buyers now are going to get even more fed up, because that's the other side I want to go on. Is like, what's the buyer experience like for someone now? I know that I'm being led by an AI, or the AI is calling me. In 2 years, we're all going to get used to it and say, this is an AI person, AI whatever, generated thing that's just trying to get an appointment with me. We're going to be turned off by it even more so, because That's just what happened in the buyer. How can we enhance that buying experience for the customer with AI, with level of creativity? I don't know if I'm making sense.
No, it's good because I think the first issue is, like you talked about, what's the satisfaction of the person buying? Dude, people in today's age don't even like to deal with a human in customer service.
Yeah.
So now we're like removing the person altogether and just making it this. The reason we don't like it is because we think they're not listening to me. They're reading off a script.
I'm just kidding.
They're reading off a script. They're completely disconnected from me and my process. They're not thinking about me. They're just getting through
They're out of the country and they don't understand me.
Right. So we've seen great instances of,
and then I'm turned off because the company is pushing something. They're focused more on efficiency rather than really taking care of me.
Right.
I'll give you one example of this. And then so Domino's, I think it's really genius. I ordered a Domino's pizza for our family. We're ordering pizza one night, and we're driving to the spot to go pick up. I'm talking to somebody in like Mumbai, and then I get there and the pizza's ready. But here's where it happened though. That sound efficient, sounds really cool. They don't have to have somebody pick up a phone at the Domino's. But it happened again. We were in an emergency. We were doing my son's birthday party, and weather changed, and everything got canceled for our party. So we had to get food really quick. So we called Domino's, and I spoke to India, and then India was like, "Oh, you can't get anything for an hour." And I'm like, "No, I need pizza in a little bit. We're getting to this jumping place now." I called Papa John's. A human answered, and dude was like, "Hey, I can take care of you in 30 minutes." So even though I would have favored Domino's, I did not give them all this money because we had all these people coming to this party. I went and gave the business somewhere else because of the human and the creativity and the willingness to work with me.
Right.
So anyways, I prefaced that to go into what your combo.
Well, plus Papa John's has better ingredients and
better pizza.
But yeah, it's.
That's what sponsor this episode.
I just don't think we're thinking
through
this whole process. But the other side is that when you force something on people, especially when everyone does it, they have no choice. When you say, "Hey, we're the only cable provider in town," they have to buy it. So ultimately, it's the state of consumerism today that there's no choice, and that because of convenience, like we talked about earlier, and complacency that's created, we just complain and move on.
Yeah.
Just let it exist. But I think ultimately the sales company that will compete against this AI BDR team, right? The one that still has their 120 people. Well, first off, I don't think you need 120 people in general. I think that's kind of crazy, unless it's massive organization. And these guys weren't that big, but again, they wanted volume. That's what they're going for. And I think all those things have messed this all up, because if instead of having one person make an average of 1,000 calls to get one qualified buyer, why wouldn't we just say 100 people and let's work to get a conversation, period? I mean, we can have conversations with people. A guy walked up to the two of us in this event and said, "Hey, do you guys have like a minute you could spare real quick?" And then we were both like, "Yes." Yeah, of course you can. Like, I think that's the general response of a normal human being. Like, another human needs some help. Sure. What's up, man? What can we do for you? And we're getting away from that to the point that like it will be the number one thing that people crave. So if I'm somebody that shows up as like, "Hey, can you spare a minute?" / "Hey, I'm really thinking about your experience right now. I'm really thinking about what's about to happen in your own little realm and world in your brain when you see this thing happen to you, or hear this thing happen to you, or read this thing happen to you. I really care about that. And I want it to supersede the norm of what it truly looks like." Because I think the one thing that nobody realistically is talking about is like, dude, I don't read my emails anymore.
I don't.
And I'm a decision maker. I'm sure I'm not buying everything in its mom, but like that's the thing, is that I'm still buying stuff, and I'm not buying anything in my email for sure. And I'm not cultivating relationships in my email. My phone even, like, I still love picking it up, but like at this point it's like, why?
Yeah.
What's the point in picking it up? Like, it's nothing but somebody who wants to ask me if I have 27 seconds to hear why they called. And look, like those things are so tired and played out, because the thing is that would be an okay thing to ask me if I didn't know exactly what was happening next.
Yeah.
And your question of qualification of me and my business so you can make money. But instead, if someone tried to connect with me as a real human being,
What do you mean?
send me an empty donut box and say, "Hey, bro, I know you're super busy, and I've been trying to get a hold of you, and unfortunately these donuts were going bad, so I had to eat them. Right? Like, that's the connection space, right? Like, in there, I look at that, I'm a little offended, and then I'm also like, all right, but that makes a lot of sense. And this is something that an actual person had to have done.
Yeah.
And especially because of like the harshness of something like that in regards to just the DIY portion of it and what has to be created to get there. And it feels connected.
Yeah.
And it goes beyond that, because a lot of people say, well, wouldn't that be gifting? And I would say no, because like that would be like me sending you champagne and not even like a note, just like calling you later and be like, hey, did you pop that bottle? Did you get drunk with your significant other? You want to set a meeting? It's not the same thing. It's the connective tissue of creativity that provides emotional context that causes a person to like get stirred up outside of their comfort zone and say, another human is trying to activate a conversation with me. And then we decide, like, do they want to give it to them or not?
You see, what I like about this is that I've always had this philosophy that when everyone is zigging, you zag, right? And with so many people zigging towards efficiency, so to speak, you're zagging into this wide open field here. It's like all the players are here and the ball's coming right here. And it's like you're straight open. And you've been doing this for a while with like your creative approach when it comes to, outreach or to connecting with prospects. And it feels like the prime time that's going to make this explode even more so. But you went along with a donut box. You told me some stats earlier about how you're connecting on a human level with utilizing donut boxes or different strategies like that. That's a rebellion against the norm. What is some of that data? You guys send out, I think it was 4,000 over the years you track.
Something so far. Like, that's it so far, right? We're in that like 4,000 range. And
4,000 of the example that he just said about the donut boxes, mixed juice, so forth. 4,000.
That's what we can track too, right? Because you got to think also that we get these random messages. And we put these in that track, right? But we get random messages from people that are like, hey, I saw this on your social platforms and I tried it and it worked. So it's not just stuff that we've controlled, but I've compiled it to be about that number. And it is a literal 79 to 80% response rate. It was 100% until we started like getting past the 2,000 number, right? Up to 2,000-ish. It was 100%, literal 100% response rate. And I think, again, it shows like the effectiveness of something, but also it shows there's a 20% gap there of people that are just doing it essentially because they want to get a meeting.
Yeah.
That's how we feel. When we hear people say, like, I didn't get a response, we go, well, that's because you're just trying to you're using this as a pawn to get what you want.
It goes back to the same idea that I'm just going to do a bunch of calls as a BDR. If you do calls, then you get appointment. But there's something missing from that. There's key ingredients missing. It's kind of like if I said, well, if I use these ingredients, I can bake a cake. And you're right, but you put them in at different times. And you do them in a different way. Like you put salt in at a certain time in the recipe to make a bigger impact.
Dude, I got one for you.
Oh,
live for the audience, right? So
here we go. Here we go. By the way, we got some information for Dale in the show notes if you want to go ahead and check it out. You can check out some of the stuff that he's doing. And by the time this goes out, he just had his event. So you can check it out and see if you can go to that next year. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But check out the Donuts Box strategy. You can see some links to some of his content down in the show notes.
Let's see if I can open this. Come on, baby.
Oh, snap. We're going to need some real stuff here. But what I'd love for you to do while we're pulling this stuff up, I want for you guys to share with us, what is the most creative thing that you've ever done in your sales process? I would love to hear about that. Go ahead and tell us. You can hit us up on LinkedIn. You have Dale's contact information down below and also my information. You can see that down below in the show notes. So we look forward to hearing that component.
All right. So this is an AE that's been sending stuff to someone and hasn't been hearing back. And I think this goes really well with what we're talking about, because I don't think people in sales think this way until it happens to them. And then they go, whoa, my mind was literally blown. Where a person came to his LinkedIn page at the company. Yeah. He's like, okay, I've been prospecting this company, but not this person. He checked the person out. He realized that they're connected to the decision maker. And he sent him a message and just politely said, hey, I'm assuming that you looked at my page because you know who I am, because I said this thing. And he labels it to your boss. The person responds with, yes. The whole office has seen it. We've been cracking up about it. He's super busy, so he's not just going to get back to you. You got to stay on him, but we all know who you are. Dude. And really, like, okay, so even if we're not getting a response from people, it's like, why do we need that so badly? Like, we are the most, like, needy freaking entity on Earth, right? Like it'd be more than animals. So honestly, like especially the weird animals, right? Like a dolphin. We're a dolphin, right? Like we need more attention from people than anything in existence.
Yeah.
And we have to have it. We want it. We want it. We need it. We need it. We're so selfish as individuals. But like look around. Like there's 8 billion people on Earth in our generation. You know, I mean, like nobody has seen that many people on Earth at one time. You know, and here we are taking advantage of that and thinking that these 1,000 people that I'm writing must write me back, have to respond to me, have to buy something from me, have to say, or we treat those 1,000 people as a statistic, right? Essentially, and we go, no, we need 30,000 people because that gets us to our number. Instead of just looking at each individual person as special, important, and ultimately that like, it's okay if they don't get back to us. Like I'm willing to earn a moment with this person, no matter what that takes.
I think that's what that comes back to. Like a great salesperson is able to earn that opportunity, earn that time, because that currency I can't get back with my time. But I'm willing to, if you're great at what you're doing, then you give me the opportunity to earn that. I mean, I give you you earn it, and I'm willing to give that to you, that exchange currency. So I feel like there's definitely, and I think we're all on the same page. I want to reiterate this. Please, again, don't get us wrong. We're not saying abandon AI. We're all about utilizing AI. But there's probably a better way now we can utilize tech in a part of this. We're not saying, you and I both feel the same way that the robocalls shouldn't be the replacement of the human connection. You can do that. Actually, we want you to do that because that gives opportunity for us to make a lot more money. So the more of you that utilize that stuff, there's a vacuum for human interaction. So please continue to do that. But what we can do, though, I feel, is AI can help us to augment some of the work, the monotonous work that we don't need to do, like maybe the research or pull in data or pull in insights, or I don't necessarily need to do 2 hours of research for companies within my space. I can have technology to work for me and share that stuff. And even like the post email, I found that to be very good. We did a recap email after a conversation. I had my executive assistant on, and we had Fathom. So big shout out to Fathom. But we had Fathom on the call. On our call, and it transcribed and did the summary and sent it to the client. She just docked it up a little bit, and he was like, "Oh my goodness, this is amazing." But that would have then taken her like maybe 40 minutes to do, but AI did that for us in a fraction of the time, which was really amazing. But the human interaction piece, that part is what we're saying should not be manipulated right now because it's needed even more so than ever.
Yeah, I totally agree. Additionally, we don't think outside the box enough with AI. So like, what if AI could tell me, all right, so I'm trying to get John Smith mail at this company. So what if AI could tell me specifically, like, what kind of mail that company receives currently? FedEx packages, USPS deliveries, UPS deliveries, like that data is actually available, believe it or not. What routes run to these places? And then additionally, it can also tell us like, oh yeah, but the company also has a PO box. Well, that could say like, oh, well, maybe the PO box is where they prefer to receive the mail. And you could try multiple mediums. Additionally, we even had a rep in the rebellion that pays for services, where they used AI to identify where this person was located as opposed to where the company was located. And then they wrote them an email and said, hey, they also asked it, hey, where are the closest UPS stores where I could send something for them to receive based on like where you think they live?
Yeah.
Through AI bot. And they sent a literal location, said, hey, I'm sending a package here. Your name on, you're the only person that can pick it up. They're waiting for you. It costs nothing. Can you please go and receive it? And that person was the CFO of Bank of America, real life. And they went and picked it up, mostly out of pure curiosity of like, what is it?
Human tendency or human, whatever thingy.
Right, yeah, they have the curiosity and the emotion of curiosity that is connecting. So especially when we approach people in less of a like mysterious way, but more of a creative and curious way that makes someone go, well, this is interesting. And also like thinking outside the box of like that, well, this could be a weird interaction. And being upfront with people is super important. Yeah. So when someone, like as an example, sellers are like prone to when somebody says, what do you do? Say, oh, sorry, Dale Dupree, right? They say the rest of their name. It's a reflect because of big systems that we've been taught that that's okay to do and that it'll throw people off. No, it doesn't. Like anybody who really does cold calls knows that person goes, I didn't ask your name. I said, where are you? That's not been most of us here when we do that. Right? But the point is like, if instead we were just to say like, hey, Donald, I'm a salesperson for sure. Like, you don't have to wonder what I do. I'm in sales. You can go to the bottom of my email and go see my company even if you'd like. But that's not why I'm emailing. I sent something to this UPS store at this location, which I believe is close to where you're located. I'm not sure exactly where you are. They're holding a package for you. It has your name on it, and I'd like for you to go check it out. And you can open it right there in the store and leave it if you want, or take it home. And the person reading that's going to go, okay, this is weird, but also like,
I'm going to the store anyway later, so I'm going to check it out.
I don't check this out, bro. Especially if like I know other humans are out there, and I could be like, all right, if you guys sit down for this, like we're dying together here. Let's open this thing.
And if it's you can always check their domain, right?
Sure.
Emails coming from this particular domain, I check it and then blah blah blah. Well, this is amazing, man. What advice would you have to sales leaders or sellers that's listening to this and they're like, yes, we're embracing AI, and we don't know where to start with the creative components. Like, how do we scale that? Like, what advice would you give them?
I have two sets of advice. There are existing companies that have reputations, that have been around for a while, big names, even smaller names in territories or cities or states where they've just been around for a while and they have awareness. To start doing creative things at those organizations is really simple.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are going to respond to seeing something like a crumpled up piece of paper that I put in a trash can that I bought for $1 at Dollar Tree, that you pull out and go, and it says, hey, 90% of what you get is trash anyway, so I pre-crumpled this and threw it away. and that it's simple, right? But then they see your name of your company and they go, oh, I've heard of these guys. Or there's this brand recognition that's there. And then there's the people the underdog. And that's the majority of sales organizations out there that are not having enough conversations. They're not meeting enough people, and they're heard as white noise through their sales effort. These are the folks that need to think audaciously. They need to light a piece of paper on fire and send it with a glass of water or fire hydrant or some kind of homemade device. Don't send a fire extinguisher. If you're wondering in your head, why has he said that? That's dangerous, and you can't send them in the mail either. But something particular that says like, hey, I lit this letter on fire because that's what you'd rather do with it anyway. It's just sales garbage. But if you take a minute, after you put it out with this water, I got you. If you take a minute to read it, see if we can act to any level, and you want to give me the time of day to earn more trust with you, yeah, I'm open to it. Like that kind of thing. It's a little bit like gutsy, if you will, and it's got a little bit of an edge to it as well too. But at the same time, even if that person sees that and is offended by that, they know you now. You're not a stranger anymore, and the white noise of sales.
Yeah, I can't keep saying it enough. We are entering an amazing time period where technology is really like phenomenal, doing some amazing things. And because of that, we're missing out on this, which your prospects are looking for and wanting the most. Dale, if folks want to get in touch with you, to learn about you, to see what you guys are doing, to try some of these things that you're talking about, how do they best get in contact with you?
Yeah, salesrebellion.com is the best place to start. You can find our free Slack channel from there, get in our community, learn more about the ins and outs of what we do, but really find our content on LinkedIn. If it was me, if I was trying to learn more about the Sales Rebellion, I'd follow Jeremiah Griffin. For sure,
Jeremiah's really good.
He's got some of the greatest creative ideas that we come out with, and then everybody can follow me as well too, Dale Dupree, or LinkedIn.com/IN/copier warrior, and come learn our origins. Come learn why we do this stuff, not just how we do this stuff, because I think that's an important piece of the puzzle that really drives us to be better at outbound in the first place. Is connective tissue of I have something more that I'm living for than just selling something.
Yeah.
And that's what makes us rebels, because everybody in the sales world, we believe, lives in a mediocre space of dial, get a meeting, sell something. We live in a space of legendary where we want people to show up to our funerals, to come to a place in their own heart and mind when they look at salespeople while we're still in existence, even to say they're not all that bad.
Love it. You heard it here. Feel free to go ahead and connect with Dale. Find his details below. Dale, your conference. Take a second to talk about that.
Yeah, totality. So it'll be done, but we're doing one next year. We're doing one every year. And it's a live workshop style conference. So we're not doing, hey, come listen to people speak, which is fine if that's your thing especially, but we're doing a hands-on, come get crazy with us. Come learn sales on a different level. Come connect with other rebels that are in the network and then ultimately are also trying to take it to the next level. And really what we've done is we've created something that I can't really even discuss. And everybody leaves. They're not allowed to talk about it either. So, and every year it'll be something different, just the same, right? But yeah, the two things that I hint at when people have said, like, what does that mean? I say, think Disney for sales and think escape rooms for salespeople.
All right, you heard it. Feel free to connect with Dale so you can get all the details on that. As always, raise your level of thinking, go out, do big things. See you on the next one.
Hey, that was Dale Dupree, and I tell you, man, we had a good time chatting. We talked a lot about AI, but we spoke about creativity and some of the cool things that he's doing. And if you would like to learn about some of his programs, you can find details about that in the show notes. If you're looking to improve your LinkedIn game, please go ahead and go find us. Go to thesalesevangelist.com/LinkedIn. Again, thesalesevangelist.com/LinkedIn. Our premise is that we're going to teach you how you can utilize LinkedIn to book at least 3 appointments per week without spamming. None of that garbage. We want to guide you through that process. And you can check out our sponsors too. They have amazing offers that can help you out with your game. As always, I want you to thrive. I want you to succeed. Check out my homie Dale. Tell him you heard him here on the Sales Evangelist podcast. And go ahead and check out our LinkedIn prospecting course. Can't wait to have you. As always, raise your level of thinking. Don't be afraid of AI. Embrace it, but don't kill your creativity. And go out and do big things. See you on the next one.